Sean, I can't hear
And now
you.
we got it.
There
Okay,
you go.
yep. I knew there was a. Let's see here. So we're there live on Facebook. We're there live on Instagram. YouTube is coming up here just a second. I'm going to have to mute the sound, unless it's already muted. And we'll find out here in a second. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 935. It's good. Hey, and it's muted. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good to have you all here. Today we're going to have a conversation about falling in love with your ideal client. Dean Graziosi in the World Summit calls it finding your dot, right? You may have heard it mentioned as finding your niche, narrowing down your niche. The key is there's a whole bunch of people who need what you do. There's a whole bunch of people who can only have, hold on, I think I still hear some music going. And there we go. There's a whole bunch of people who need what you do. So I'm going to see if I can't give you some ideas, some concepts, some tips, some tools, some strategies, some states of mind, how to not only narrow your dot, but how to fall in love with them. I've been in the sales profession for now 51 years. Wait, what? 51 years I've been in sales. I'm 56. I started selling corn off a hay wagon when I was 5 years old. Yep, 5 years old on the side of the road on the farm selling field corn for sweet corn to city folk. Because city folk thought, man, I've never seen sweet corn so big. A piece of field corn, an ear of field corn is about, anywhere from 10 to 13 inches long. It's much bigger than and it's bigger around because it's field corn. It's for cattle. It's for farm use, not domestic use, if you will. So anyways, I used to sell corn off a hay wagon when I was 5, and that's when I learned the idea of give more, go more, do more than you get paid for. Because the corn was free to me, so anything I made was a profit. Until one day my dad taught me a very valuable exercise. I'll tell you about that later, where he took about 70% of my income one day. I was 6 years old that year. It was the following year. I assumed something, and I lost a whole bunch of my profit. I'll just tell it to you that way. See, I could tell it to you as if I was sitting in a boardroom that at one time I made a decision, I made an assumption that cost me about 60% of my profits. See, that sounds like a boardroom conversation. It happened when I was 6. So let's fall in love with your ideal client. First of all, let's narrow down your niche. Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, they talk about narrowing down, finding your dot. 7 billion people. What is it you do? There's I don't know how many billions of dollars are spent every year in the personal development industry. I don't know how many, there's billions of dollars spent in network marketing. People be joining companies, people using products. So there's a whole variety of markets out there. What's your niche inside of that market? What's your dot inside of that market? It's not even a circle. It's still a dot. You find your dot. There's tens of thousands of people because we now have a global community, right? We have access to everybody via the digital economy. Here's my question to you. Do you know how to narrow your dot? Do you know who you want to fall in love with? See, sometimes people get down to their niche and they don't like the people they got down in the niche with. Because you're going to get down into the valley. You're going to get down into the gully. You're going to get down into the pit with this group of people. So it's going to be important that you fall in love with that. It's going to be important that they know that you love them. See, here's the thing. We all have a similar business model. We all have the exact same business model. I talk to you, you like what I say, you buy from me. That's the same business model. You can talk about comp plans, you can talk about a variety of things. The reality is when you open your mouth, you are in sales. And if you're not speaking to your tribe, you're pissing up a rope. It's just that simple. If you think going onto social media and creating followers is something that's important, no, too many people, this is going to hurt some folks. Some of you think you're influencers. You're just informers. Listen, I do not consider myself an influencer. I consider myself an informer, and I do it very well. I inform people. I give them a chance to make what's called an informed decision. I am not the news. Many of you are trying to be the news. You're trying to just promote stuff. You're trying to create what Frank Kern would say. What's he talking? Polarize to magnetize. Well, the challenge is when you polarize to magnetize, you still ain't magnetizing nothing. Because all you have is just a monologue going out. You don't even do anything to create a dialogue. Usually, you don't create anything to create a dialogue. A buddy of mine calls it dead-end marketing. What do you mean dead-end marketing? Do you have a CTA on everything that you do? Good morning, Crystal. Do you have a call to action on all the things you do? Are you calling to action your niche? Or are you trying to call to action to get rich? Oh, snap. So, narrow down your dot. Find your dot. Dean does a great job talking about that. There's enough free videos that he does out there of finding your dot. I'll give you some basic understanding. Literally, draw the circles. What industry are you in? That's the circle that you're in. What do you do in that industry that makes you unique? That's another circle. Here's the question. What are some of the things that you're, this is the brain stuff. What are some of the things that you're doing that solves the issue your niche is currently sitting in? You may want to go teach something. You may have this passion, this desire to go educate people on something. Is it going to do? Listen, we spend billions of dollars a year on personal development, and 1% of the population still only getting it. Listen, some of you got books you haven't opened yet. Some of you have bought programs, digital programs you haven't gone through yet. I know because I'm one of them. What is it that they did to sell you? Do you know how you get sold? The reason I ask you that, if you know and understand how you get sold, you'll understand how to sell. And what does Zig Ziglar say? Sales is transference of enthusiasm. So the question is what are you selling? It ain't your comp plan. It's not your business model. It's not your upline. It's not your downline. It's not your crossline. It's not your company's longevity or shortgevity. It's not. The only thing you can sell is you. That's the only thing you know about. The only thing you can sell is your story. That's the only thing you know about. It's the only thing you have 100% confidence in. And the challenge is most of us don't have 100% confidence in that. And if we don't have 100% confidence in our story, and if we're not telling the real story, listen, I remember when I got started back in the day, 23 years ago, I would sometimes lie about how much money I made in the profession. I know I was the only one that ever did that. I know I was the only one that ever said I had a bigger team than I said I had, or I was making more money than I said I was making. I'm probably the only one that ever did that. So, what are some of the things you can do? Who needs to find you today? What is the message that your audience needs? What is the story that you need? Because again, now maybe you don't have the right following. Maybe you haven't done the work necessary to build your community. But here's what I'll tell you. I'll tell you this right now. Building your list is key. I got somebody who's coming out. Somebody was coming out with a program the other day. They made an amazing program. They put tremendous time into it. I asked him, so how are you going to sell that? Well, I'm just going to post it on Facebook. I'm like, and who's going to buy it? Who's your customers? Who's bought from you already? Who's raised their hand? Kyle Wilson, Jim Rohn's former business partner for 18 years, the president of Jim Rohn International, says, build an audience, talk to them, give them a reason to raise their hand. Did you know that Barnes & Noble, most of the books on the shelves sell less than 1,000 copies? Sell less than 1,000. They buy more than 1,000 copies to put on the shelves, but they sell less than 1,000 copies. If you were to come up, listen, you want to understand your audience right now? You want to see what you have as far as your influence and not just an informer? If you were to create a PDF today, if you were to create a little 7-page PDF and give it away for free, post it on your page, download it. The 7 tips I learned about what? If you came up with a PDF, 7 pages, 7 tips, and it included pictures on each page, so it wasn't all words, how many people would download it? How many people would buy it? That's how big your audience is. To go from this informer to an influencer, you want to know how big your influence is? How many people would buy it? You may have a whole bunch of followers. You may have a whole bunch of people who like your posts, but when the I'll just say it, when the shit hits the fan, who's going to buy? How many people will pay for your course? Your $5, $4.99. Is your course, is your story worth $4.99 to cause somebody to go, I don't remember my credit card, I got to look it up, for them to do the effort to pull out their credit card? See, because it's not about how powerful your information is. It's about how powerful it is to move them into action. Your stuff may be amazing. Your story may be incredible. The reason they may not buy is because there's not the forced law of reciprocity. Do you understand that? The forced law of reciprocity says, if I do something good for you, you might be inclined to do something good for me. So you got to ask yourself a question. What good have you done for your audience? What have you given your audience a chance to fall in love with you? Listen, I'm not speaking from having 1 million followers. I'm not speaking from having a whole bunch of ideas that man, you need to be paying attention to me. Listen, I'm on the journey with you. I'm teaching you from the front of the room. I'm teaching you from the front row, not from standing on stage. I'm saying, okay, here's what I'm learning. Here's what I'm going through. I'm putting it into action. We're always in transition. We're always moving to the next thing. You're always elevating. Can you love your audience strong enough, big enough, hard enough that as you elevate, they want to grow too? Think about your current environment, the people that you hang around with. The people that you have fallen in love with. These are the people called your close friends, your close family. And when you tell them that you're doing this business, you're doing this network marketing, do they fall in love with you even more? Chances are not. Why? Because we haven't presented it in a way for them to fall in love with. It's kind of like, there was a time in my life, some of you may giggle about this, where I dated those individuals. I dated a certain segment of the female population that my mom didn't approve of. That's the easiest way I'll say it. If anybody has ever dated somebody that they didn't get the approval of their parents, drop a 1 in the chat. If you ever dated it and you thought you knew better. Yes, I had a time in my life where my mom, whenever I would say I was dating somebody, her eyes would, listen, she was the Olympic medalist, the gold medal Olympian of eye rolling. And that being said, there's probably a good chance that Mason will probably date some folks that I may not be of the highest liking of. How many of us are dating people in our business that maybe we'd kind of be ashamed to go out in public with? What? What did he just do? How did he just make me feel bad? What? What did he just say? How many of us are dating people in our business that we're embarrassed to tell that we've got them part of our business, or worse. You want to know how we make this worse? They'd be embarrassed to show us around. Oh, that just took it like to real. How many people who are in our organization might be embarrassed to bring us around? I'm guessing that doesn't mean we're falling in love with our clients, our ideal client. We're using some other benchmark. We're using some other tool to manage, to build our business with, to build our future with. We've heard of the term sponsoring up. I don't know that that's the mentality that's needed right now. I think there's the term of sponsoring deeper, sponsoring with more heart, sponsoring with more understanding, letting people understand who you are, that you're not a network marketer. I don't know that that's something that goes on an application. I'm a network marketer. You know why? Because the same success that holds true in network marketing is the same success that holds true in life. 3% are going to succeed. 2% are going to succeed. The other 98% will own as much as the 2%. The 98% combined will have the same assets of the 2%. It's the same thing in network marketing. It's just a smaller niche, and it becomes real. We become real sensitive to it when we're on the inside. And we realize we're not falling in love with our customers. We've fallen in love with a product, and then we want to go sell a product. Nobody gives a damn about our product. They really don't. Because in today's market, they can find that product online. There's not a single network marketing company that has their stuff hidden. I can Google any one of your companies. You can Google any one of my companies, and you can find the product. I was shocked yesterday. I don't do things like marketplace and garage sales. I'm going to. That's a huge market to have a conversation with. I was shocked to see how many people sell our product on Marketplace. And you know what? I went and asked a whole bunch of them yesterday. I did a little market research. I wanted to see if they were falling in love with their ideal customers. And I asked them all about their product. And I even went to some other companies outside of mine. See, I went and asked about my company's products because I know my company's products. I wanted to see how they transitioned. They were selling commodities. They have some of the world's greatest technology available in their hands based upon research and all of this other stuff and ingredients and everything else. And they were selling a commodity. They were a manipulator. And listen, not in the bad way. They were manipulating technology from point A to point B. And guess what? When you manipulate stuff, when you're like a ditch digger, nothing against ditch diggers, I've dug ditches. When you're a waiter or a waitress, you're a manipulator. You manipulate the current thing. You're the one hands-on. You have to do the work. And when you have to do the work, you're limited by your resources. You're limited by your capacity. You're limited by time. Listen, I did dishwashing. I owned restaurants. I still fell in love with my ideal client. I fell in love with my customers. My customers came to see me. They came to see the Murphys. Why? Because I fell in love with them. I knew about their... How many of you know the kids' birthdays? How many of you know their anniversaries? How many of you sent a thank you card in the last week? I do my best to send out 5 a day. Send out 1 a day. What would happen if you sent out 365 people got a thank you card from you in the next year? What would happen to your business? How would you fall in love? Listen, there will be people who want to become your ideal customer. Are you doing this? Just downloaded to me. How hard are you working to make sure that you fit everybody else so that you can be the ideal supplier to them? Follow me on this. Are you trying to be the ideal salesperson to everybody and you've got to tweak everything? Or can you become the center post that people fall in love with you and you can fall in love with them because the love that you give out? And they go, listen, Joseph McClendon III, we were at an event in Louisville not too long ago, and he said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to be able to get your customers to say, follow me. This takes away a whole hours and decades of training if you just get down to this part. Would you all like this little secret? Drop an S in the chat if you'd like this little secret. I think it's a secret. Here's the little secret. Get them to say, I want some of that. Are you doing enough so that your clients say, I want some of that? And ladies, I'm sorry that because of the way society is and sometimes people are ignorant, because you're beautiful, because you're smart, because you're in play on a social media, because you're doing your activities in a one-way digital environment, there's some people who are real asses out there. I get it. Listen, you're just going to have to be strong through that. I don't know what else to tell you, because you not getting out there, you not letting people fall in love with you. Some of your presentations are so well designed so nobody can fall in love with you, so you can't get hurt. It's just it's just one little word, 2 little words. It's a look, it's a glance, it's an inflection in your voice. Listen, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. You've been hurt before. We've all been hurt before. But in today's marketplace, in this digital world, where the second you show up, the ignorant people on the other side, usually it's us guys. But I'll tell you, the most vicious people on the planet is another woman who wants to put another woman down. I get it. It's tough. So that's maybe you have to create another community. I wouldn't build in public. I would draw attention in public. Put them inside of a community. Put them inside of a group. Put them in a place where they've got to go through some hoops to get in. Too many of us are trying to let everybody in. Listen, you got a red velvet rope to get to me. There's 2 bouncers. There's a red velvet rope. There's an identity check. There's an ID check. There's an age check. There's a heart check. There's about 50 things you got to go through to get to me. Yet I can stand out here and do this, and I can be attacked out here in public. It usually doesn't last very long because my informants tell me, or the pack of wolves that turns into to protect me, I don't really have to worry about a whole lot of stuff. What can you do to love your ideal client? Do you know who your avatar is? Do you know who your dot is? Do you know who your niche is? Do you know what they're on their knees for praying for right now? It was yourself. It's you who they're looking for. They're not looking for your company. Those are all vehicles. Every experience you have is a vehicle. Anything you share is a vehicle. They want to know, does the engine work? They want to know, what's the speed of the transmission? How fast can you get me the hell out of Dodge? That's what your ideal client's looking for today. And until you become rock solid in your story, I saw a scroll through the chat on the VIP group. Until you fall in love with yourself and this certainty, listen, I am absolutely certain I don't have a frickin' clue what's going to happen today. I have plans, I have ideas, I have goals, I have... Listen, what I do know about today is bigger than any mess that could happen or any success that could happen. It's a state of mind. It's called gratitude. There's a call at 11 o'clock every day, Gratitude with Danny, DANI.com, on gratitude. When you understand and when you allow gratitude to be in your day, and listen, I can promise you, we've done this 13 times. It's the 13th season. Every month is a season. They go through the 28 chapters every month. And every chapter. And I can promise you, in season 14, somebody will be reading a chapter and go, I didn't see that before. And they've read it 14 times. Fall in love with your ideal client. Means they got to be able to fall in love with you. Because here's where the hurt comes in. Listen, I've had this before where you really, really like somebody. You really, really like somebody. And when you stuck your neck out there and said, hey, listen, I really, really like you. And they go, yeah, but I don't like you like that. Drop an L in the chat if you ever had somebody say, I don't like you like that. How many of your customers, when you say, hey, listen, I've got a product... And they say, yeah, but I don't like you like that. I want you to join my community. Yeah, but I don't like you like that. I want you to do this. Yeah, but I don't like you like that. Then what the hell have they been liking you on? That's the way you've been acting. Congratulations. Where you're at, it's your thought. Today, this week, today's Tuesday. Taco Tuesday! Rhonda Bird Parker has a shirt. Call me tacos, I'll turn around. Tell me I'm pretty, feed me tacos. Listen, this week, here's your homework. Here's your homework. Let's see who's got the chutzpah. Doesn't matter. YouTube looks stuck. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Do a PDF. Do a 3-4 page PDF. Put some pictures together. Use Canva, free Canva. Make a product this week. Sell it for $7.99, $4.99, $9.99, $37.95. I don't care. Pick a number. Mark Victor Hansen said to me one day, he said, listen, I don't have a title of the book, but I know it'll be sold for $29.95. Work it backwards. Work it, baby. Work it. Wow, got a new coffee pot. It's hotter than Hades. How much do you want to charge for it? And then back in the value. Back in 10 times the value. Right now, today, you're going to create a product. I don't care who you are, where you think you are. I want you to create a 3-page little PDF about some experiences you've had. I don't care if it's you're a single mom. I don't care if it's you. Listen, I got a knock on the door 7:30 a.m. one Monday morning. I got a knock on the door at the house. It was in Apollo Beach, Florida, and it was the Tampa Bay Police Department. I had a warrant for my arrest. I was 20-something. And it was because I didn't appear in court. And I didn't appear in court because I followed the advice of my big brother. He said, let them find you. I was the easiest one to find. Took me off down to jail because long story short, it's because I didn't have the FL numbers, the Florida numbers on a boat. The little boat off our big boat. I didn't have it on there. I don't want to use the word dinghy because I sound like Howell Thurston III from Gilligan's Island. Yes, on our dinghy, baby. I didn't have the Florida numbers. So anyways, I went to jail. I got picked up, rode down with the guy. I got booked in, got fingerprinted, got the picture, got the plaque. So I can tell you how to avoid Monday morning rides in a police car. You've all got life experiences. Who's got the chutzpah? Who's got the guts? Who's got the cojones? Who's sick and tired of being stuck where you're at? You're going to create a PDF. You're going to create a giveaway. I don't care if you use it as a giveaway. Give it a $9.95 price. Give it a $29.95 price. But give it away to build your list. You got to build a list, baby. You ain't got a list, you ain't got nobody. You got followers, you ain't got followers. Listen, I'm an influencer. You're an informer. You're an informer. The people who I know who are influencers ain't on the platforms. They ain't working the platforms. They're showing up. It's there. It's a place to be able to gain eyeballs. I get it. But they're doing millions of dollars every month in sales. That's influence. The greatest works of our time sit probably within 15 miles of everyone. Usually within a couple miles of everyone. Called libraries. Greatest influential works of history. 3% are showing up there. Funny, that's the same 3%. Not the same 3%, but that's the same number of the people who are absolutely extraordinarily wealthy. They know how to become resourceful. What's a resource you have that would allow somebody to become resourceful? I wrote it down yesterday. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can find it. How many of your followers? Here's how you know if you're an influencer. And I'll leave you guys with this and then we'll go to the VIP conversation. Here's how you know if you're an influencer. When your followers take action on your words. That's how you influence. See, there was this little carpenter many years ago who had to tell everybody his wife had gotten some kind of gift from God, the Immaculate Conception, and all of a sudden he had to tell the story that, this is crazy. I'm not sure how she's pregnant, but that's my wife and that's my kid. And that became an influencer. Buddha, Krishna, you name it. When somebody takes action on the words that you say, that's when you're an influencer. When people pay for the words you say so they can take action on them, that's an influencer. See, even if you buy the stuff and don't take action, were they really an influencer or were you just trying to buy your way out of pain? When you really dive deep. Listen, Rhonda Bryan has been an influencer to Daniela Jukic. She really doesn't care if anybody shows up on the calls, although it might make her day a little longer, make it a little shorter because she'd feel one way or the other. Oh, I don't have to do a call today. But there'd be a part of her that go, oh, why isn't anybody showing up? she'd still read the book every day because of what it's done to change her life. Rhonda Bryan has become an influencer to many of us, and we would have never known it, which is why Daniela is an influencer. When Rhonda Bird Parker speaks at the end of this call, on the end of the VIP conversation, and does the rap, I'm blessed to have her do the rap because she's an influencer. I give her space because when she speaks, it moves people. I'm lucky to have the individuals that I get to hang around with. The people who are part of my VIP group, that inner circle, when they speak, when Dana Scranton speaks, when Sharon Gist speaks, when Vicki Hines speaks, these people leave amazing legacies of lessons. Sometimes it's, hey, don't do this. Other times it's do exactly this or do it your way. My question is today, to fall in love with your customer, find out who's taking action on the things you're speaking about, and that's your ideal customer. Everybody else, they're just sucking up your energy and sucking the life out of you because they're probably not giving anything back. Ouch! Sorry, but somebody had to say it. You're worthy. That's what I want you to hear. You are worthy. Your message is valuable. Your experience is extraordinary. Your capacity is unlimited. Your capability is incredible. You've got the tools, the techniques. Give somebody a chance to buy into your dream by serving them in theirs. And I'll leave you on that. So there you go. YouTube, I love you tons. I appreciate you. Thanks for showing up for episode 935, and I didn't start at 940. I started at 0 and then did number 1, and back from 2018. And we're going to keep on going because I like this. This teaches me. This forces me to train myself every single morning to be able to present. Some days I'm good, some days I suck, and some of those are the best lessons. So I hope you have an amazing day. I appreciate you tons. Love you bunches. I'll see you where? At the next